All right, what is up, everybody? We are live. First things first, go over, the latest in the, legal drama. This from J-Ski. NASCAR issued a rulebook bulletin on Monday morning that allows them to limit entries for a NASCAR Cup Series race to 40 teams. NASCAR, at its sole discretion, may elect to limit the number of entries for a race to 40. In such instances, open teams will be determined on the team owner point standings. The bulletin also states Rule 7.9.1.1.B. Point. 4 open teams will be eligible for the starting grid based on the fastest single lap posted on each open team's vehicle in the first qualifying round. Up to 6 open teams will be eligible for the starting grid position based on the highest ranked team owner point standings. These changes would help prevent 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports from missing a race while they are operating as open teams, and the lawsuit remains unsettled. If the teams don't miss a race, it would be more difficult to argue that they have been irreparably harmed by losing their charter. So the question remains on that. Obviously, NASCAR is doing that in reaction to the lawsuit. Does that bode well for them in court that they reactionarily did it after they got sued, or does it help them to show that, they were trying to work with the teams? It's going to be interesting to see which way that would play out in court. Like I said, you never know in the American legal system which way it'll bounce, which way it'll go. But that's interesting. They're taking, I guess, sort of a gamble there. They're being reactionary to the lawsuit here. Does it help them or hurt them that they did it after they got sued? That's the question that's asked. So, that's really the only significant story that happened in the last few days. Zach Brown going to be on Kyle Larson's car. It's a gold and black car, really good looking car. Kind of looks like the Richard Childress throwback that Austin Dillon drove not too long ago with the, let's see, where is it right there? This one right here, the American Ethanol throwback to one of Richard Childress's cars, black and gold, very reminiscent of that. The Blackjack car originally for Richard Childress when he drove it. And he'll race that on October 12th in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Pascal Siakam going to be the pace car driver at Indy, and the Cookie Monster from Sesame Street going to be the Grand Marshal. Super important NASCAR-related poll question. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle? Raph, 29% right now, 21% for Leo. Don is getting a no love with 7% and 43% for Mikey. There you go. We only ask the important, hard-hitting NASCAR poll questions here. So let's jump into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. Was never into turtles, says PC Gone Rogue. These are the best poll questions. BB says, Charlotte, I was forced into Donnie's stand-em. My cousins and my brother had taken all the cool weapons and the guy colors. So I was left to playing with the purple one with a stick when we built makeshift weapons. Hey, there you go. Well, I'll tell you what, Donnie gets no love as far as when people were buying the toys. But when you played the video games, he was like one of the first picks because he had the range. He had the range with the bow staff. Even though it didn't do max damage, you could keep people at bay. It was kind of like a really long jab, kind of like if you had long reach in a fisticuff fight. To battle the long grass and hay bales at our grandparents' house. Hey, there you go. Battling inanimate objects as a child is always a fun deal. Always identified with Michelangelo, loved pizza, and had a bit of a strong, digitally enhanced personality before I even knew what that was, says Dirty Def. So there you go. Dirty Def, a Mikey fan. The Indy shakeup at Penske caused a fall off in performance. And that shop, or is Ford just out to lunch, says Tim Brace. I was talking to one of my friends over text about this. He's a big Penske fan, and he's a diehard Ford man. And we came to the conclusion it could be Tim Cindric, to your point, or it could be every once in a while Ford takes on a side project and the NASCAR teams struggle. If you remember when Ford wanted to win Le Mans, again, they put a lot of resources and effort over there on the Le Mans project. So it kind of took away from the NASCAR effort. Now Ford is working on an F1 project. Is the same thing happening? Are the resources, are the funds going over there to support the F1 project? And is that why Ford is in a slump? Or is it just the other teams? When Joey Logano went to Wilkesboro, did the tire test, Ford got a little bit ahead there. Have the other teams now caught up to what Joey Logano found over there. All kinds of variables out there, but he seemed to think it was the F1 deal, and I think that probably is as good a guess as anything. But who knows? Who knows? Shy saying Mikey for his pick there. Let's see. Resurface, One Wise Guy, what's up, my friend? What's up in between the lanes? Resurface Dover with asphalt and rebrand Miles the Monster. There you go. There you go. You'd have a different color Miles the Monster there than the concrete Miles the Monster. You'd have that asphalt gray. Or I'm sorry, asphalt's a grayish black. So I don't know what you would call it. I don't know. I'm not a color person. Let's see. I was too old when Ninja Turtles came out. I was out drinking and getting into trouble. I probably should have stayed at home and watched the Ninja Turtles, says Bruce Garvey. There you go. Stay at home, watch the Ninja Turtles, stay out of trouble, stay safe, my friends. Party responsibly. What's the new? This is the new Craig Moore racing hat. This is what that is. And Craig said, "I'll give you the hat if you wear it." I was like, when have I not worn the hat? So I've made it a point to wear this hat for the vast majority of the episodes, the rest of the season. Timber Ace, you speak heresy and sacrilege, says Shy. Dirty Def, what's up, my friend? I still read Ninja Turtle comics. What IDW is doing with the Last Ronin story is pretty good, says Charlotte. I've actually never read the comics. I kind of want to, but I only watched the original. I guess the original cartoon that I'm aware of. I don't know if they had one before. Just the original cartoon back in the day that came on after school, and all the movies. Well, most of the movies, I guess I should say. The Michael Bay movie, the original 3 trilogy, and the one that came out with sort of the Spider-Man animation style. So those are the ones I've seen. Let's see. Some pretty BS. NASCAR is changing the entry list, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yeah, 100%. They're doing it just to hurt the lawsuits of 2311 Racing. But will it really hurt the lawsuit that they're doing it reactionary to hurt the lawsuit, or will it help the lawsuit that they're being reactionary to try to hurt the lawsuit? They kind of have almost proven. You could argue that they have, in a way, proven 2311's worries and concerns there. So. You could argue it either way, so it's going to be super interesting to see how that all plays out. Love the Larson black and gold car. It is so sick. It is a really good looking car. I agree with you. I'm a big. I like the black and gold, so I'm with you on that one. I own 2 turtles, so I love this poll question, says OJ and Toothpaste. Hey, there you go. Napa Racing fan saying rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. Indeed, 76 years old, Ozzy Osbourne. I forget what he had. I think the same thing, Parkinson's maybe, that Michael J. Fox had. So rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. Let's see. Did NASCAR make the right call Sunday, in your opinion, says One Wise Guy? I mean, if you can get the full distance of the race in, I think you should always get the full distance of the race in. So it wasn't that controversial to me. I know a lot of people, I'm all for the tinfoil hat. You can obviously put on the tinfoil hat and say, hey, if Denny Hamlin wasn't leading, they would have just ended the race right there. But you would have to put on the tinfoil hat and say, if who would be if Chase Elliott was leading, they would have ended the race right there. So you can argue it all kinds of different ways. So and it's fun. That's part of the fun of being a fan, right? And part of not fun of being the race director. No matter what happens, everybody's mad at the race director except for the guy that won. I just didn't know anything about those turtles. Sorry, couldn't vote, says Lloyd. That's all good, my friend. It's all good. I wonder how NASCAR defines entries. 40 entries to qualifying for 40 entries to the actual race. Where does the Jimmy Johnson waiver play into the? Oh, good question, Sir Wood Rooster. Is the super? Well, what is it? The superstar, the Jimmy Johnson waiver, whatever you want to call that. Does that still play into this deal? Interesting. That is an interesting question. That is very interesting. Hopefully we can get some answers to that going forward. I think that's the one where they had like 43. So 6 teams would be locked in on points, and then maybe 2 entry spots or something like that. Maybe, or however that was worded. It's the Daytona cutoff race. Colleague, RCR, ETC would have entered cars without practice. All it takes is a bad wire, and Bubba, Reddick, Gregson could have been out of the playoffs pending results. Yeah, for sure. There would be gamesmanship. Good point, Cody Ledger. There would be tons of gamesmanship as far as that goes. But would NASCAR do this if they weren't currently in a legal situation? That's the question that's going to have that it's going to get asked in court, right? Let's not even pretend, right? The lawyer for 2311 is definitely going to ask that question. So, and I think it's a fair and valid question. It's really just going to be interesting to how it plays out. Could a 12-member jury honestly not see that NASCAR is the very definition of a monopoly, says Lloyd Barnes? That's what we're going to find out, because a 12-person jury gave the Puff Daddy a really light sentence. So you never know. You never know with the American legal system, my friend. So don't ask me. I'm just sitting back and watching it all unfold. How it plays out, I have no clue. NASCAR seems a bit vindictive. They always have been. They've taken union busting to a whole other level, and always have, I think, in my opinion. What are you at more practice? I've heard some say it just makes the good teams better, but my thing is, if I'm HMS JGR, I don't want any practice at Dover because they've already figured it out, says Dirty Def. So I would argue the exact opposite, right? Dirty Def, first of all, the cream is always going to rise to the top. The best teams are always going to be the best teams, and no matter what the rules are, it's going to help the best teams. But where I stand with more practice is actually going to help the lower teams, because you can get a veteran in there and he can tune that car to make it better. So it gives the smaller teams a fighting chance. Whereas when you have no practice, that 110% favors the bigger teams that have maximum simulation data, maximum, whatever computer generated information that you can get. That's going to favor the bigger teams every single time. So what practice does, practice is the great equalizer, because it takes it takes some of the engineering out of it and moves it to a hardware engineering situation where you can actually improve the car, because you can do everything you want to on a computer aided simulation. But in the real world, there are variables that the computer or the people programming the computer and the simulations can't put in there. So that is always going to give the smaller teams a fighting chance. So my opinion is, yes, everything's always going to favor the bigger teams. To me, that's a weak argument. Practice is actually going to help give the smaller teams a fighting chance. So I'm in favor of more practice. Denny Hamlin, December 1st, there will be big news. I'm so curious, says Shy. He feels confident. I guess he feels confident about the whole deal there. So hopefully, we'll learn more on December 1st, what he's talking about there. So, yeah, he made some bold statements there, and interesting that he won the race too. So a lot of pressure, a lot of legal talk, and he was able to put those distractions behind him and win a race, is what I meant by interesting that he won the race there as well. Did this week prove once again that clean air tops tires? Elliott, Bell, and Hamlin were all out front, no matter what the tires were behind them, says Bruce Carvey. Yeah, that clean air is king. Clean air is 100% king. I think if you had seen Denny get into dirty air, then you would have seen the older tires play into it. Or if Denny had some lap traffic to deal with when Chase Briscoe caught him there at the end, that might have played into it as well. So, yeah, for sure. Yes, he has Parkinson's, had Parkinson's, says Napa Race fan, referring to Ozzy Osbourne. Connor Zilic is on fire right now, says OJ and Toothpaste. He's been on fire for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah, that guy's really good. And unfortunately for Daniel Suarez, he was the last man out, or the first man out, or whatever, because Zilic allegedly is coming up. They haven't made it official, but 2 and 2 equals 5. Kyle Larson will be signing Chicken Fried on the radio. We'll be singing Chicken Fried on the radio to Cliff Daniels all during the Las Vegas race this fall, says In Between the Lanes. And yeah, so the promotion is because Zach Brown is doing a residency at the big Spear thing. So that's where they'll be doing sort of the U2 thing. So plunk your $1,000 tickets down to hear Chicken Fried. And Toes in the Sand. Crazy, during his last performance, Ozzy told everyone on stage that he's passing, and the 2 weeks later he's gone. He'll definitely be missed, says Dirty Def. Yeah, a lot of people going to miss Ozzy Osbourne for sure, just like any big time celebrity when they leave us. I mean, if they restarted the race with Chase leading, and he lost to Hamlin, social medias would have melted down like Chernobyl, says Charlotte. Exactly. So it's always there's always something to argue about with a late race call every time. So it is what it is. NASCAR race control always going to be the villain. Unless your driver wins. Yes, Zilich is super hot right now, unlike SVG. He can win with just left turns, says Lloyd. So there you go. Lloyd saying he's equally as good on the road courses and can make the left-handers work in his favor as well. Lots of rain predicted in Indy this weekend. Clearing on race morning, says Brickyard Brickhead. So that'll be interesting. They might not have a look at the track if the weather doesn't give them a shot to get some practice in. So it'll be, I don't even know if this is a practice race, but I would assume this would be a practice race. I haven't even looked that part up yet, to be fair. Doesn't a jury trial in civil court go with the preponderance of the evidence instead of beyond a reasonable doubt? So where does that leave NASCAR? That's a great question. I'm not a legal expert. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I have no idea. It'll be really interesting just to see which way this goes, one way or the other. So I don't know. I'm not a legal expert. So yeah, like I said, I'm just sitting back, following it, watching along with the rest of y'all. Will Zilich struggle for a couple of years if he replaces Suarez? If he does, they should rebrand to the number 87, says OJ and Toothpaste. That's going to be hard. Because they're sort of in love with the 1 and the 99. They're the alpha and the omega as far as the numbering system goes. Do you move? Could you move SVG to the 99 maybe, and then Zilich drives an 87? But they made such a big deal about the 88. I don't know. I think they're going to keep. I think they're going to keep the numbering format that they have for right now. If I had to, offer up a guess. If you remember, there was another guy that drove 87, Joe Nemechek. Just kidding. I think Kyle Larson drove 87 for a little while too, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, let's see. BB, thoughts on my trucks, Heim Time, Xfinity, Sawalich. I know for sure Nemechek drove it, but I want to say Kyle Busch drove the 87 a few races before as well. Swalich, and for Cup out of nowhere, Austin Dillon, Tyrone Dillon for the $1 million. Corey Heim's always a good pick. I like the pick for William Sawalich. He gets the job done. Doesn't get a whole lot of hype, but he is definitely a good one in that Toyota pipeline there as well. Austin Dillon, you know what? RCR for all the talk, like I know Richard Childress came over the radio, and once again they're making a lot out of radio chatter, right? Richard Childress said we need some race cars. I think that was more to inspire the team to bring faster race cars to the track than anything else. But we'll see. But RCR is sneaky good. If you look at teams that aren't the big three that have won at Indianapolis, RCR has a surprising number of wins there. Tyrone Dillon for the $1 million. So you're picking Ty Dillon. It's hard to pick against him, right? He's gotten this far. He is the Cinderella story. Can he beat Tyrone Gibbs, Rocket Randall Gibbs? I got to thinking about this. Wouldn't have been smarter for the teams to sign the charters, but then take NASCAR to court for being a monopoly without even mentioning the charters. That's certainly something they could have done. For sure. So I don't know what the strategy was there. Like I said, man, like legal stuff, I didn't go to school for it. Like, it's hard to speak on it. So I don't know. It's really, unless you just sit down, sit down with a lawyer and get them to explain it to you. Those type of questions, I could give my opinion on it, but my opinion's no better than anybody else's, because I don't know any more about legal process stuff than a normal person would. To me, charters have nothing to do with being a monopoly, says Dirty Def. The ride heights thing we discussed on Discord, I thought proved those Chevy teams don't share exact setups. Yeah, I think what I was talking about when we made that, there's no way you might share a general basic setup, but there's no way you're getting all the data on all the modifications you're making to a chassis setup. You're not getting the full thing ever is sort of the point I was making. I may be the odd man out, but I am Team NASCAR. Has nothing to do with my dislike for Denny, says Delmer Kaufman, tongue in cheek. So he doesn't like Denny, so he's pulling for NASCAR to win. So glad NASCAR reduced cost with the spec car, because there's no way big money teams can buy an edge, says Tim Brace. Yeah, the newest way for big money teams to get an edge is they're buying a ton of these panels. the panels for the body, and whichever panels that they buy from the supplier that fit a little bit better and give them just a little bit of an aerodynamic edge. That's the way they're getting around it. Not having a fabrication shop now. So yeah, the big teams are always going to figure out ways to get an advantage because they just have the money to do it over the smaller teams. But it is more even, to your point, for sure. Fuel Cell Full did a video on Daniel Suarez as in between the lanes. There you go. If you want to see a video on Daniel Suarez, check out Fuel Cell Full. Try to say that really fast. Was there ever an Ozzy paint scheme? There might have been a Black Sabbath paint scheme, Delmer. I don't know. Let's see. Nope. I'm not seeing anything on a initial Google search. So I'm gonna go with no. They did not. He didn't have one that I immediately saw right there. I've enjoyed Larry Mack being back on the broadcast, albeit not exactly the last few weeks as Cody Legends. So yeah, if you watch True TV, Larry Mack and Jeff Burton are breaking it down on their end for what they see as far as stuff going on. The 9 car was super fast on Sunday, but what HMS car couldn't have dominated starting on the pole? The metric definitely helped Elliott at Dover as well. Yeah, so there you go. Qualifying with track position type races in this particular car on high-speed ovals, I guess we should say, is definitely an advantage for sure. So qualifying is a big deal. The lower teams cannot afford more practice. I was told that NASCAR spoke with them during COVID, and the small teams save over $440K on tires and fuel, additional crew and man hours by cutting practice. So there you go. There is a counter argument to it there from Lloyd Barnes. Extended 50-minute practice at Indy this week. I heard Chris Gabehart today say he didn't like the extended practice and questioned it, saying Joe Gibbs Racing didn't need it, says Dirty Def. So there you go. There you go. Always opposing viewpoints. But like I said, in my opinion, if you have practice, it is going to at least give the smaller teams a shot to dial their car in and try to get closer to the bigger teams. But you know, if you want to save money, if you're into saving money, don't go racing in the first place. That's if you want to make a small fortune in racing, start with a big one. It is expensive. The Swalich and Austin Dillon win picks are wild card picks. Okay, I got you. I agree with you about Swalich, but I've been disappointed with him in the 18 Xfinity car this year. Expected a bit more, but he has had flashes, says Dirty Duff. Yeah, I think he'll get there. He's pretty good. He's a really good race car driver. Kyle Busch drove the 87 in the Busch Series, says OJ and Toothpaste. That's what I thought I remembered that correctly. But then I had a panic and I was like, maybe he didn't drive the 87. Maybe I'm going crazy. Which is hilarious. I went crazy years ago. Seems like the streaming issues have been addressed, says one wise guy, at least for this episode. So knock on wood that we keep going strong here. Anyone going to the baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway, says Sir Wood Rooster. I'm not, but I think it would be a cool deal for those that live in the area. Going to be a super cool deal. They did release the uniforms for it. And for the first time in history, the Atlanta Braves have had a huge miss on their hats. That's the ugliest Atlanta Braves hat I think I've ever seen in my life. Cincinnati gets a pass because Cincinnati has done a lot of crazy things with their uniforms over the years. So I sort of give them a pass on it. It's sort of they like to make a fashion statement from time to time, so I'll give them a pass on theirs. But the Braves, this is the first time I've ever looked at a Braves hat and uniform and been like, no way I would ever wear that. I'm a Yankees fan, so wouldn't necessarily wear it anyway. But my grandpa did pull for the Braves, so I do like to wear a Braves hat from time to time, so long as they're not playing the Yankees. Let's see. Anyone going to the baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway, says Sir Wood Rooster. Just like everybody's grandparents was a Braves fan because it came on TBS and it was the team they could all watch all the time if they had TBS. Anyone going to the baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway? Does NASCAR take some action if Austin Dillon wipes out Ty Gibbs lap 1 this week? It would make a mockery of this whole bracket crap, says Bruce Garvey. Maybe Ty Dillon. Maybe if Ty Dillon did it, I don't know. I guess because Austin Dillon's the brother, but Austin Dillon's not racing for the million. So I think it would have to sort of be more direct. It would have to be like a Ty Dillon taking him out. So, but then again, one of the Joe Gibbs Racing guys could, flip the table if you're going, I guess, teammate or brother for brother or teammate for teammate. Flip the table there, and one of the Joe Gibbs or 2311 guys could take out, Ty Dillon in this situation. So that would be an interesting what would a situation if that were to happen? How NASCAR would navigate that would be super interesting for sure. Who would get the $1 million? Would they just give the $1 million to neither one of them and donate it to charity? I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to navigate. Merch link is $10 shirts, and there's the merch link from One Wise Guy. Appreciate you there, One Wise Guy. Yeah, we do have $10 t-shirts there. If you want to go check them out. So I don't know how many are remaining, but I think they have the number of what's left up there. Do you think Red Bull will sponsor Connor Zilic full time next year? Yeah, for more money than just about any other company that I can think of in advertising. So I think they've got it built in to sponsor Connor Zilic close to full time next year, and probably as many races as they can get with SVG full time as well. Has anybody watched the alternate broadcast? I've watched the main booth. Says image. I've flipped between it a couple times. And one time I put it on True TV by accident, not realizing that it was the alternate broadcast. And it's not bad. It's not bad. They do a good job over there. It's more laid back. It's more of a casual thing. I'll tell you what I think they're missing that I think would make it better and make it feel more like a live stream commentary. They need to add a chat to the True TV live stream. So like Larry McReynolds and Jeff Burton could be talking, but you need a chat going over there on the side as well. I think that would add a ton to it. So maybe TBS or True TV in this case takes a look at that. For sure. Briscoe and the 19 team are heating up. Last 5 races, he has a win, 2 seconds, and the second most points of any driver during that time. Homecoming for him this weekend. Hashtag stop the Briscoe hate, says Jesse Daly. So there you go. Briscoe is on fire. Like I've said, for a long period of time, Chase Briscoe can get hotter than just about any other driver. Him and Alex Bowman have that in common. But when he's in a cold slump, he looks like a driver in a cold slump. You know, what can you say about it? Chase Briscoe's home track this weekend, I believe. He said he's using the Pocono car, which would make sense. A lot of people, Pocono set up pretty much very similar to the Indianapolis setup. The fuel cell full video hit Suarez pretty hard, but he had all fair points. I think Nathan does that. So he usually goes contrarian, and he usually likes to go in there pretty hard, but he does try to back up his stuff with facts and points for sure. Here in Alabama, most folks are Braves fans. Like you said, TBS and really one of the few baseball teams located in the Southeast is very yeah, indeed. What is it? The two Florida teams and the Braves. Who am I missing? Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Let's see. Did you see where NASCAR came out to clarify that the $1 million goes to the teams and not to the driver? Driver gets paid based off of a contract. Says they're okay. So the $1 million goes to the teams. So that's interesting. So the drivers aren't even racing. I wonder if the drivers even knew that. Microsoft was ruled a monopoly, and they never owned a single computer. NASCAR owns the series, charters, tracks, car parts, tires. Hey, look. Very good points. I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but the American legal system is the American legal system. So you just never freaking know. You never freaking know what's going to happen. 1995, throw that one out there. You never know what's going to happen, regardless of what the preponderance of evidence says. I'm pulling for Ty Dillon, sort of an underdog, says Massey Ferguson. Indeed. Ty Dillon has been the underdog from the start. I don't think anybody had him going to the finale. So we'll see what happens. Spec cars equal modified stock cars, says Timber Race. I've watched about 50 between broadcast and the altcast. I would probably leave it on the altcast if they didn't have to focus on the tournament the majority of the time. So that is one thing. I agree with you. And that's what I'm saying. The chat would make that way better. Just get rid of that constant thing at the bottom there saying which driver is in front of which driver for the bracket challenge, and just have a chat streaming down the side. And every once in a while, when they see something in the chat that they felt like talking about or was a good point, they could jump in the chat. And that would be a really good way to be interactive. I think that would be more beneficial than constantly focusing on the in-season bracket sentiments. And you know how Florida is with its weird southern state panhandle is the South, but the bottom not so much. LOL, says Dirty Duff. Yeah, so he's saying, are you insinuating that after you get past Floribama, it is no longer considered the South? I think that's what Dirty Duff is accusing or inferring here. I'm not on the Fire Gustafson train, but some of the calls he makes are really dumb and bad. It's not guaranteed Elliott would have won, but chances decreased when he pitted for 2 tires, says Napa Racing Fan. Well, what hurt him the most was the car falling off the jack. So the jack man not getting it on the stop is what put him in a bad position there. So 2-tire call, that was a Hail Mary. But where the race was lost for the 9 team was when they lost the lead, when the car fell off the jack stop and lost 7 or 8 positions there. Hope Ty Dillon wins the tournament, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, that would be the best outcome for that. All the way around. For the people that don't like it, they would be like, haha, see, proved it doesn't mean anything. And for the people that are really into it, it would be like, look at that, nobody saw this coming. So 2 great arguments, one way or the other. Like, I'm not into it, but like somebody brought up on one of the comments, it's really good for the people who are casual fans. It gives them something else to watch and pull for us. And I thought that was great, because I'm not a casual fan. I'm trying to keep up with everything that's going on all the time on the racetrack as best I can when I'm watching on TV. At the track, I'm more just watching battles on the racetrack, and I can kind of get lost there. Then you flip on MRN to see what's actually going on the scanner there. So that's a little bit of a different situation. But yeah, at home, I'm keeping up with who's wearing points and what all this and that matters. So I'm watching every car as much as I can anyway, no matter where I'm at, but for different reasons when it's live. Ty Dillon has made this tournament. Only thing interesting about it, besides some of the trash talk, yep, for sure. Felix Rosenquist, Aussie scheme at Mid Ohio this year, says Brickyard Brickhead. So there you go. IndyCar has had the Black Sabbath or Aussie throwback or honorary paint scheme or whatever it was. Larry Mack did say they were going to try and answer questions, but they never have. A chat would be perfect, says Dirty Diff. Yeah, that's exactly what they need. Look, if YouTube can figure it out, True TV can definitely figure it out. Let's be real. Dirty Diff, LOL, says Lloyd Barnes. So is Reddick. Is racing for 1/3 of the purse now with the charter deal. I heard the 23 was. Well, it just depends. I don't know what his contract says, but yes, the overall team, the 45 team and the 23 team would be paid the exact same, depending on how they finish. But yes, now that they're unchartered, they would get less money no matter where they finish, because that's how the purses are paid out. So yes, they are racing for what everybody keeps saying is 1/3 of the purse. I think, damn, who was the dude on Door Bumper Clear? I think he said it was like 18% of what regular teams race for. So that seems to be the number there, 18% or 1/3. So anywhere between 33%, I guess, and I don't know, 18%. So somewhere in there. Yes, he did prior to Ozzy's farewell show. That was a good scheme, says Napa Race Fan. What did you think of the call, says Dirty Duff? Depends on what call you're talking about. The call to keep the race going, I thought was the right call. I don't know. The call to take 2 tires, I think if you're Chase Elliott at that point, you got to try something, right? Let's see. Because you're not going to win on speed, because I don't know. Let's see. Ty Dillon winning would be the best winner if you consider how much it could help that team. Oh, yeah, for sure. The million will definitely help Colleague, for sure. I'm okay with the tournament as long as it's not for points or even worse, the playoff points, since the system isn't going to. Yeah, to me, it's no different than the No Bull Challenge or anything like that. But I don't want to make too big a deal out of it, because nobody really made too big a deal about the No Bull Challenge, because the No Bull Challenge was basically non-existent in the original, or the Winston Million was no big issue in the initial iteration of it, because you had to earn it. But then so many years went by without anybody actually earning it that they rebranded it to the No Bull, where sort of like what the Xfinity series has with the Dash for Cash type thing. So that one was more like you had to win at crown jewel tracks, so it had like a little more cachet to it. This one is just sort of a random collection of tracks, sort of a random in-season tournaments. I don't know. It just doesn't feel as cool as the original Dash for Cash. I'm sorry, as the No Bull Challenge or anything like that. But they're trying something different, and this is the first iteration of it. Maybe they'll keep tweaking on it. But Ty Dillon has been the show for sure. I root for Ty Gibbs, but I hope Ty Dillon wins it. LOL, says OJ and Toothpaste. Will this be another dirty air race? Oh, yeah, for sure. This is going to be clean air dependent for sure out front, no doubt about it. I don't know throughout the field how it's going to work out, but yeah, whoever's out in front typically has a huge advantage at this track. Always has, no matter what the iteration of the car was. This one will probably be worse because it seems like this car is more aero sensitive with that type of racing. Will there be a chance for more passing? Dover wasn't amazing, but at least there was passing, unlike Bristol, says Napa Racing Fan. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I'm leaning toward whoever's out front will be controlling the race pretty significantly. Talking about the number 9 pit strategy, I like Steve Letart's quote by Jeff Gluck. How do you feel? How do you feel most comfortable losing? Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's it. Elliott doesn't pit. He's the leader. Same as tires with Denny. I think had a chance, just too hard to pass. And the leader with clean air was just like extra horsepower. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Will they be interested to see how Red Bull answers the Horner questions this week in Belgium? Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's going to be a huge story until some answers are had as to why they let him go. If they answer it at all, probably the move at this point is just not to answer any questions about it. And eventually people will stop asking. There will be like 1 or 2 reporters that will never ever let it go. But for the most part, it'll be out of sight, out of mind after a while. So they probably won't answer any questions about it. Did anybody see Xfinity race Saturday? How was James Dennis Allen Hamlin? I think he said he did all right, but would do it again. Says in between the lanes. I'm with Dirty Def on Elliott being there with Denny if the call went the other way. Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, no matter what, Alan Gustafson is sort of like NASCAR race control. No matter what happens, if Chase Elliott doesn't win the race, there is going to be a portion of Chase Elliott fans that are like, why does he keep losing those races? Already has a win in the bank. And there's normal Chase Elliott fans that aren't like that. I'm not saying everybody's like that. I'm just saying, if you've been online, you've seen what I'm talking about. Chase Elliott already has a win right now in the bank and has already 240 plus laps led in clean air. So I think you put him back in that position. And just while we're having all this Chase Elliott talk, the questioning of Alan Gustafson's pit strategy and all that good stuff, Chase Elliott is the points leader right now for the regular season. So if this is an off year, may all of my off years be the off year that Chase Elliott is having. I would like to throw that out there. Are you going to the Brickyard 400? I am not going to the Brickyard 400, unfortunately. Maybe one day, though. Maybe one day. Elliott needs a crown jewel win badly. He still has 0 and should at least have 1 with the 2020 Coke 600, says Napa Racing Fans. So there you go. Should have at least 1. I understand you can't completely eliminate dirty air, but can't they just remove the rear diffuser? You would think so. I don't know. I don't know why they're so in love with that thing, but they have been unwilling to modify that. They should try something since they are stuck with this car now. Yeah, I agree. But they will probably do something next year. But I think this year we got what we got. Same thing with the points. This year we got what we got. I think we're going to see both things get some tweaks next year. Goodyear can't fix everything. Amen. Stop putting it all on Goodyear. But they are part of the problem. Some of the problem is not their fault though. The tires are too wide. Well, we've been through it. Tires are too wide, not enough horsepower. The underbody thing needs some tweaking, or to be totally thrown in the trash and gotten rid of. Reddick annoyed one of the reporters when they asked him twice back to the back about contract status and charter. Yeah, he's probably just tired of hearing about it. You got to think about it. He's probably getting that same question over and over and over again. And at some point, you're just like, dude, stop. He looks like he's having no fun this year. So I feel like the lawsuit, if it's affecting anybody, he just looks less jovial this year than he's ever looked before, at least at 2311. Are you going to the Brickyard 400? I'm not going to the Brickyard 400. I don't want Alan Gustafson getting fired, but he does need to make better decisions at times, says Napa Racing. I mean, yeah, for sure. All you can break down every crew chief, and every crew chief misses and makes some. But at the end of the day, if you replace, and I know you're not saying, I know you're not saying fire Alan Gustafson. Who do you replace Alan Gustafson with that's out there? Maybe Rodney Childers, but other than that, but he didn't seem to like how Spire was set up, and Spire seems to be very dependent on Hendrick. So I don't know if he would even want to get a piece of that Hendrick deal now that he's had, I guess, maybe a taste of it. That's speculation, but that's who would you replace Alan Gustafson with would be, an interesting question, because he does have Chase Elliott first in points right now. I met Chase Elliott in 2024, says fastballs and fast laps. Cool deal. He seems like a pretty laid back guy. So hopefully it was a cool deal in person. I'm sure it was. Larson's supposed to be in the booth for Xfinity, but is actually driving the number 17. Hey, there you go. If he can get in a race car, he probably is in Chicago, says fastballs and fast laps. So there you go. Let's see. For new tires, they didn't perform that bad. Yeah, yeah, and nobody had any practice with them. I think there was only like what, a handful of tire issues, and some of those were obviously due to air pressure, no doubt about it. So if this week at the Brickyard it's a snooze fest, I think it will be. Do we hear? We want the road course back, says Bruce Carvey. The ever changing opinion of the NASCAR fan. I doubt they'll ask for the road course back though. Tommy Baldwin. Thank you, Dirty Diff. I couldn't remember which person said it on there. The comment about Uncharted receiving 18%. Reddick needs a haircut really bad, says OJ and toothpaste. Yeah, it looked well. He either needs to grow it all the way out. Or hide it somehow until it gets grown all the way out, because he has rocked the really long, what is it, early 90s, late 80s rock star hair. He's had the long hair before. He just needs to. He's in that weird in between point, so he needs to hide it or do something with it until he gets to the full rock star length that he once had. Will the 22 continue to hit the one, or is it over? Says Dirty Diff. I don't know. That's a question for Joey Logano. Does he feel like he's gotten enough to get his point across to the one car, or do they need to keep doing it? I don't know. That would be a question for Jolo there. Keep the Brickyard 400. It's a crown jewel, says Nava Race Fan. I agree. I mean, I'd like to always keep the Brickyard 400, but definitely need a few tweaks for next season on the car to make it more interesting than it has been previously. I didn't realize the car covers traps. And heats inside the car when the car is off during a red flag. Oh yeah, red flag. Any like circle track, late model stock, all of them. Red flag is the worst possible situation, especially in the summertime, because there's no air flowing. It's just it sucks. It sucks for sure. Elliot would be. I know it. If you get a red flag, a lot of times at the local level, they'll let us walk out there with water and stuff to give to the drivers. So that's on the local scene. That's how we handle it. I don't know if NASCAR does that or not. I think they send officials out there with water if the driver, and offer it to the drivers if they want it for extended red flags. Elliott would be amazing under a Winston Cup point system. I agree. Napa. Undetermined, they would race differently under a different point system, but still, yeah, there's always different aspects to it. But yeah, certain drivers would benefit from season-long points. Certain drivers benefit from this system. That's always just going to be the case, no doubt about it. And some drivers are just going to find ways to rise to the top, right? All 20s, all year is very good. Top 5, 6, the last 6 races is very good, says Napa. Indeed. Where was the first race you went to, says Fastball and Fast Laps? North Wilkesboro or Darlington, one or the other. I can't remember off the top of my head. I was a little kid, though. I was definitely a little kid. I saw Earnhardt win at Darlington, but I can't remember if my dad took me to that before or after Bristol. So I don't know. Hard to say. Let's see. NASCAR Classics uploaded the full 1995 Brickyard 400 today, the one that Dale won. Indeed. And they've still got that car at RCR if you want to go take a look at it. They've got Kevin Harvick's Brickyard win, and I think they've got Paul Menard's Brickyard win in there as well. But that's sketchy. I'd have to look at my photos of RCR from the last time I went. When you see how much better Chase Briscoe looks in the 19, makes you wonder how many other drivers would be at a higher level. They just don't get to drive one for the big. If they get to drive one for the big 3 teams, yeah, for sure. The equipment makes a huge difference, no doubt about it. There's no two ways around it. It is what it is. The equipment is very important at the highest level. Reddick just needs to, and it always has been. Make no mistake about it. It always has been, at least in the modern era. Reddick just needs to rock the mullet with pride instead of waffling on it, says Charlotte. For sure. He's already committed to it, and his wife hates it. So you might as well go all out and rock it. It's crazy how much money the teams spend on groceries every race weekend. Truck driver goes shopping on Thursday for the teams. Yeah, for sure. They save some money there with the truck driver. A lot of times being the cook for the team as well. Props to NASCAR and TNT for not immediately calling the race after it was rained and drying off the track to complete the scheduled distance at Dover. Yeah. I mean, I think they made the right call for sure. So I agree. Who's the better driver, Max Verstappen or Kyle Larson? Depends on what they're racing, right? So if you're on a dirt track, I would have to say Kyle Larson. If you're in an F1 car, for sure, you would have to say Max Verstappen. So it really Really just depends on what they're racing as far as that goes. Only teams outside of HMS JGR Penske that have won a championship since Roush in the mid-2000s is like Furniture Row and Stewart Haas. Nothing has changed. Facts. Like I said, the cream always rises to the top. The best always find the way to be the best. You can have whatever system you want. The champions very rarely change no matter what happens in a system. Several teams like the 5 and 12 drive from the back to the pack, but stall around 7th or 10th. Yep, the cleaner the air gets, the harder it is to pass. And also, there's faster cars when you get to that to the top 7 or 10 there. RCR is toast. Busch is washed now, thanks to RCR. At least looks washed, says Napa Racing Fan. I mean, he made the choice to go there. I don't think he really necessarily made the choice to leave Joe Gibbs Racing, regardless of what they tell you to your face in public. So, you know, all I can say is I think he would be doing a better job than some of the drivers that they have over there at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think he would have had more wins than some of the drivers over there at Joe Gibbs Racing if he had stayed. But it is what it is. They made their decision. I don't think Toyota was happy with it at the time, but it was definitely, in my opinion, a Joe Gibbs decision. What did you think of Gravel Larson dust up last week? It's racing. David Gravel lost the race and he wasn't happy about it. So, and Kyle Larson threw a dirty slider, which he has a right to be not happy about it, but you're racing for the win. You know it's coming. So it kind of is what it is. You hear the rumors, it's just a racing incident. So I don't think much about it. You hear the rumors. Dale said that Haley might get replaced. Yeah, that would certainly make sense, and that would be another spot that Daniel Suarez could go to. So there you go. The Daniel Suarez sweepstakes heats up, as well as who's coming up. Who's coming up? Is that a Jesse Love situation where he's going to come up to? Do you think Max Verstappen would ever race in the Indy 500? I don't know, man. His approach to racing seems very businesslike. Like he's been trained to do it his whole life. He really reminds me of Jeff Gordon. He's where Jeff Gordon's stepdad lived vicariously through Jeff Gordon. I feel like Max Verstappen's dad is living vicariously through Max Verstappen. So I see him retiring sooner rather than later, and just doing something else, with his life. So I don't know if the Indy 500 is even something he would be interested in. He's such a closed off guy as far as his actual emotions. I don't know. Who is and I'm a super casual F1 fan too, so throw that out there. I'm not exactly a expert on F1 stuff. Who is more bad luck to a Cup team, Justin Haley or Noah Gragson? That's a great question. Is the 7 car cursed? Is the real question. Is the 7 car cursed? Max would race everything he could, and if F1 obligations weren't a factor, says Charlotte. So there you go. Charlotte says if it wasn't for the F1 contract, he would definitely probably give it a mulling over, we'll say. Who will be with JRM next year is another good question. Algar said next season will be his last, but we'll see. Yeah, that's a great question there. Or do they just downsize? They don't necessarily have to run all those teams. So would they downsize to a 2-car or 3-car team? There's all kinds of different directions because there's no charters in Xfinity. How about Max running the Rolex 24? I think that's more likely to happen before all said and done for sure. I think Suarez will be at JRM with sponsorship and no Cup seats, says Napa Racing Fan. He doesn't want to go race Xfinity, and we've seen him race for basically a start and park team before in the 96. So I don't think he has any. He's won the title in Xfinity. I think he has no interest in it, and so I think he'll race for like Rick Ware Racing or somebody. Like I think he'll do that before he goes to Xfinity. That's just my thought process on it. But I see a lot of people saying he'll go to JRM. So you could be right. I don't know. I just feel like he'll stay in Cup because that's what he's indicated so far. Noah Gragson, and he seems to think he has options in Cup. So, and he would know better than we do. Noah Gragson is blaming the 54 for wrecking him out, not Bell for spinning, which is weird. Says Dirty Def. Yeah, well, he's just got a history. He's got a history with the 54, so that's probably how that played out there. It'd be better for Suarez to run with JRM in Xfinity than for Ware. I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm just telling you how Daniel Suarez is thinking. He doesn't want to leave the Cup Series. So we'll see. And I do think he probably has some Cup Series options. He just hasn't announced them yet. Would Kyle Larson ever race in F1? Says fastballs and fast laps. It would be hard because he would have to get a super license. So I don't know. Yes, the answer is yes, but it would be really hard to get certified to do all that stuff. I agree with BB. I think Suarez will slum it in Cup before he goes back to Xfinity. Suarez had his worst Cup season this year, not counting the Gaunt Bros year where he missed the Daytona 500 in 2020. For sure. For sure. Do you think Suarez will stick with Chevy? That's a great question. I have no idea. I have no idea what that contract looks like. So I think he's happy being with Chevy for sure. But I don't know. I don't know. All right. Final results of the super important NASCAR Cup Series question. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle? 35%. Michelangelo, 29%. Leonardo. Raphael, 21%. And 15%. A stronger showing than I thought for Donnie. So Donatello, 15%. Let's see. Kyle Larson would race anything, including tractors. Dale Jr. has said repeatedly in the past that major changes are coming to the Xfinity Series in the near future. He hasn't given much details, though. What do you think he means by that? It's probably going to be more like the Cup car, would be my guess, because they don't want the Cup car being slower than the Xfinity Series. Bark at the Moon tonight says Napa Suarez has a better resume to justify the Cup or nothing mentality than LaJoy did. Agreed, 100% Charlotte. I still don't understand why you would rather run 30th in Cup over a top-tier Xfinity ride. I don't know. 100%. Larson, not good enough to race F1 and be successful unless they went to ovals. SVG types on the road courses at that level and in open wheel. Yeah, Scott McLaughlin would be a good one to pick to go to F1. Same thing with SVG if he could get some starts over there in IndyCar. Agreed. Timber Ray saying pizza. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Until the next one. Peace.